Lots of ice cream. Should I get an ice cream?
Welcome everybody. I've got a special shortened speech because Sam needs some expansive time to develop some things, but I'm going to just say a few words very briefly. Wonderful to see everybody here. What a fantastic day, what a fantastic place. Friends, extended family, now extra extended family, it's just wonderful to see you all. Thank you ever so much for being here. Some people have travelled an exceptionally long way, and I want to say a special thank you to Rachel and Sam for not holding a wedding in New Zealand, which was an option. So, thanks to all the people who slaved today. I mean, Rachel's done a lot of the work herself, but cake bakers and table putter-uppers and ferriers and all these people have done so much. There's been some hard work going on washing up in the kitchen just now, and there's been a little bit of hard work tomorrow morning clearing up, I'm sure. And then there were important tournaments to organise and all that thing. So thank you for everybody who's mucked in. And of course to our professional sound engineer, fresh from Berlin, who's come to make sure we've got something to dance to today. I think my job's to get the measure of Rachel and Sam for us, just to sort of paint a picture really. So I need you to imagine yourself on the beach in Swanage at 6:30 in the morning, right? Very strange time in the English seaside, and there's a lot of people in wetsuits about to go and be jolly in the sea and things. And Sam is on the scene as a supporter already, showing stalwart work. And what he's done is he's spoken to the guy who's got the PA addressing the whole of Swanage, and incidentally some people taking part in this triathlon, and he's told them Rachel's favourite joke. Yeah. So this poor guy on the PA says, "Now there are two clowns eating a lion." Right. and then he sort of says, "Well, there must be a punchline, but maybe they'll tell me what that is later." Yeah. So who hasn't got that? Who doesn't know how this joke works? Yeah. So of course there were two lions eating a clown. Yeah, and one says to the others, "This tastes funny to you," right? But this is how Rachel's mind works. It's much funnier the other way around when there isn't a punchline. So we need a measure of Sam as well. That's Rachel's sense of humour, and that's really how the couple work together. That's sort of slightly offbeat. I think that's fair to say. Okay, so it's important to understand how this works. Now, on our side of the family, Sam's greatest admirer is Auntie Irene, and she doesn't waste a moment chatting Sam up. One of her chatted lines was, "Where did Sam get these shoulders from?" Right? So Sam explained some of the complex family history, which I don't quite cotton on to yet. But basically, his claim was that the shoulders were Ukrainian. So there we go. However, at Rachel's hen night, which we had camping in the Gower the other day, there were a set of questions that Rachel had to answer about Sam, and I think it was Claire had asked Sam what feature of his he was proudest of. And Rachel had to guess what it was, right? You'll be relieved to know that Rachel guessed correctly, and it's his nose.
Grandpa, where is it? Yeah. It's in the family. There it is.
So, So really, one of the things that defines Rachel and Sam is extreme friendly competitiveness. The friendliness is optional, but the competitiveness is absolutely really good. And one of the things that they did together was learn all the flags of the world so they could have competitions. So we're just going to do a quick refresher. Right, I'm going to see who gets them first.
You got some. Bahamas. Bahamas.
Close.
Is it Barbados? St. Lucia.
Oh, Rachel! St. Lucia. Right, next.
Belize, isn't it? Belize.
I'll turn it round so everyone can see. Maybe.
Yeah.
Bit closer, Kim.
That's
I've lost.
Belize. Oh. Rachel, come on, redeem yourself.
Go on.
Angola.
Albania.
Albania.
I did prepare just in case this wasn't as close as it, might have been. Right? I think
We showed the New Zealand one.
I think you can say that Rachel's probably got other things on her mind, and that's So, Rachel's always life at soul of the party. We know that, right? Always in there. What was it at college? Football, rowing, cross country, you name it, athletics, yeah. Not just doing it, but organising it and all this. But you'll have noticed in the room through there's 3 jars of Nutella. And Nutella features importantly. In fact, there was Nutella at this hen night the other night. I managed to cook on a camp stove some crepes for Rachel to have Nutella on. That's pretty much up there. And there was a camping holiday we had in Normandy. And from the campsite, we could walk down to the local baker's a mile or so and get fresh baguettes for breakfast. And every day when we walked down to the baker's, more and more baguettes came back to be thickly spread with Nutella to make sure that Rachel had enough energy for the day. And so the quick way to take care of Rachel is to make sure there's Nutella with something screwy to put it on. So from Normandy, and have got another prop that some of you would have noticed down here, I need to take you to high up on Exmoor. And there's a big lake up there, and this is the National Half Ironman Championships. And this is June this year, Rachel's taking part. And the rain manages to hang away till they get on the bikes onto the hills, but then it starts coming down. The forecast was foul. Yeah? So you have to imagine a lot of people standing around in a very muddy field, yeah, getting soaked and soaked. And they've got these very fetching yellow plastic covers to put over the bikes. But a lot of people were getting so wet that what they did is just need to model this. Yeah? So Anne was standing there with one of these, and Sam had one of these. And it's in this attired like this, in this incredibly distinguished way. When Sam comes up with a straight face, completely straight face, and says, "Is it all right if he asks Rachel to marry him?" So, what a fantastic couple! Yeah, endless fun. Really made for each other, just superb. So I would like you to toast the bride and groom.
Rachel and Sam.
Thank you, David. Alright, well thank you all for being here today to make it to our eagerly anticipated table tennis tournament. Serious. Rachel's preference of location was initially New Zealand, as Hayden said. But when that couldn't happen, it changed to not Birmingham. I'd just like to thank a lot of people who made those big journeys today. Sarah and Christopher Morley from Ulverston. We've had people from Birmingham, Oxford, Michelle and Ed of Camorley from London this morning, Kent, where's Bill? He's gone Belgium, Doug and Duncan, Berlin, But the first, the winners are Michael and Felicity, all the way from Wanganui, New Zealand. You should think of yourselves as being very privileged, because choosing who to invite was a very difficult and regimented process. Through several rounds of cutting. Some of you were initially cut. I'm afraid, Grandpa, you were initially cut. Jamie, I didn't actually want you here. I didn't see the point in Georgie coming, but luckily there was enough room to win. I feel very honoured to be an official member of the Ward family. During the past 2 years, I've seen Jamie and Nathan marry into the family. They may come across as pleasant chaps, but secretly they look down on me as an evil clique, saying you're only a boyfriend, what's your problem? But now I'm equal, I hope you'll let me join your special club. I very much enjoy spending time with the Wards, particularly post-dinner, when we get to sit around the table and sing with the piano. Such hits as Edelweiss, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, and the entire back catalogue of music from the Tiger Club, Personal Highlights. You are a very entertaining collective who maintain some wonderful family values. Aidan and Anne are wonderful parents, and I speak on behalf of Rachel Shaw when I say she had a lovely upbringing. Aidan cooks some excellent meals and has always been welcoming to me. He is very insightful and has some cracking jokes. A very calm and caring person. She's appropriately named Duracell Plus as she keeps on going.
Yeah!
Thanks to Aidan and Anne for making the cakes, selecting the wine and setting all these things up today. Rach constantly pesters Ruth and Claire about having babies. They've done extremely well to remain calm and composed during the onslaught, although Rach, I have to tell you, they've requested that now we're married, they only see you once a year. We'd like to thank Ruth and Claire for being beautiful and willing bridesmaids, as well as making some excellent cakes today. Doug is now a fully fledged man, even with a beard. Although Rachel not so keen on, are you? Sorry, show you that. We'd like to thank Doug for sorting out the music system today. He's organised some great tunes for later on. And there's also Duncan, but he hasn't really achieved much with his life so much. Next, I'd like to turn to my family. I rarely, if ever, get the opportunity to say this, but I do love my parents very much. They've given me all the opportunities in life that I could have hoped for, and I'm very grateful for that. My mum is the nicest and kindest person you'll meet. In recent years, she has created a new verb, to ghost. This is when she becomes so worried about someone in the family that she morphs her skin tone to a tint of white, synonymous with the paranormal. It shows that she cares, though, and we wouldn't want to be in any other way. My dad has provided for the family by working ridiculously hard over the years. He is renowned for having 1,000 replicas of the same outfit, obsessing over dogs, and for his repetition of stories, particularly those from his school era. About 10 years ago, when reminiscing, he recalled a fellow student called Hayes, who wore grey flannel trousers. With the trousers on the mind, combined with a new discovery of something called the internet, Dad attempted to search for an image of Hayes wearing the trousers using Google Images. Needless to say, the image wasn't available, but the legend lives on. The honour of performing the reading in the service was to be given to one of my parents. The decision as to who would take on the duty actually ended in conflict. I think the conversation went along the lines of, you do it, no, you do it, you do it, and you do it. Liz is a great sister who's also been an excellent mum to Georgia. We usually find her in the realm of Balamory, making weird and wonderful inventions and creative objects from yogurt pop tops and washing up liquid bottles. Last week she proudly made a yogurt pop top stuck to a washing up liquid bottle. Life was rosy for me in history in the early years, until Jake came along and shook up the system. The boy is always one for great words of congratulations and wisdom during special occasions. I regularly look forward to hearing from him on my birthday. Over the years, his greetings have evolved, from a card to a phone call, to now a Facebook message, which arrives 3 days late, with the words, have a good one. That's UN. So you can only imagine my anticipation and excitement of what he would say when I told the family I was getting married. And so it arrived, the words of wonderment on Facebook, 3 days late, without the A, about time. I know that Jake would have wanted to be here today, but unfortunately he's not feeling well at the moment, so I'd like to make a quick toast to the boy. Yeah. The boy. Next up, I'd like to pay a special tribute to my best man, Rob. He's the one who fluffed the rings earlier on. I was best man for Rob at his wedding and always had the intention of returning the favour. However, I considered reassessing after we scuppered our chances to appear on the TV game show Pointless. Having spent hours filling the application form, we had clearly impressed the producers at Endemol. They rang Rob just as he was entering Subway to get his lunch. At this moment, he had two choices: prioritise the phone call and get our big day, or favour the turkey stuff. Needless to say, the turkey won and our appearance never happened. Rob wasn't initially keen on learning about my idea for the stag do. It was going to be a bike ride along the canal, latterly named Brokeback Mountain Bike by my witty father. Luckily for Rob, the weather wasn't kind. We went for a contingency plan, a turkey sub. Rob and Jodie have been great friends over the years. In the early days, we were known as the Triangle, a fun concept to begin with, until Rob and Jodie got together as a couple. I became the unwanted third wheel. Needless to say, they're ecstatic when I met Rach. There's another page here, I'm sorry. Finally, I come to the main lady of our life. Me and Rach have been on a great journey over the last 5 and a bit years. We've had many great times together, but it hasn't always been easy, particularly having to live apart during the last year. However, I should have predicted this, because only a day after I asked her out, when she said yes, she escaped to the Basque Country for a month. A year later, she worked in India without even telling me she was going. Even when we went to New Zealand for a year, she spent a month away on camp with her school. People say that we are competitive, as Aidan's mentioned. That is certainly true. Luckily, our sporting interests differ, so the competition between us is usually amicable. Although several years ago, a game of table tennis ended in rage. Rach became so angry that she turned green, lifted the table, and threw it in my direction. What we really hate, though, is being overtaken when walking or cycling. Once, when cycling back from Andre's house, we were overtaken by a female cyclist. We couldn't understand. We had to up the ante. We managed to overtake her back. The problem was that now we were in front, we couldn't lose face and fall behind again. So we cycled as fast as we could. Sweat was dripping, teeth were grinding, but we couldn't shake her off. The gap was closing. We found a final burst of speed and we made it. And to most people, this would be a very insignificant moment in our lives. But to us, it's one of the big moments. Alongside the day we found honeycomb ice cream, burned all the flags of the world, and managed to get a 9-letter word at Boggle. Recently, I discovered a website called it'snotaRace.org. It explains how cycle commuters gain points by overtaking cyclists. The points allocated depending on what type of bike, clothing, and other things you have. For example, if you are overtaken by a man with a beard, you lose a point. You earn 10 points if you overtake someone wearing grey flannel trousers. Rach has several favourite phrases in her life which she uses, such as I am 100% excited and 0% unexcited. Another one is you are a clown shoe. Hello, and similar but crucially different hi. However, recently she's developed a new favourite, absolutely not. Most of my dreams and ideas have been shot down with those 2 words. When looking through a choice of programmes to watch one evening, I was drawn in by an intriguing show, curiously titled The 7 Stupidest Things to Escape From. Without a hint of consideration or even inquisition as to the depth and complexity of the show, the response was a resounding absolutely not. Other dashed hopes have included riding from the church on our newly acquired tandem, incorporating my mathematical character Adam up into my wedding speech. But now I have. I'm not quite sure the consequences of Most people know the story of how I proposed to Rach. I chose to ask her following the half Ironman, the most difficult course in the world. With her in a near comatose state, I knew I stood a good chance. I took her to Shotover Woods, just as the dark was arriving. I covered her eyes as we walked into the woodland. And at that point when I was writing, I realised just how creepy that sounds. In a nervous panic to find the bench that we used to sit on, I failed to see the branch in her path, which subsequently knocked her in the head. Now I was dragging her along the forest ground and propped her up on the bench. The combination of post-Ironman fatigue and branch-to-head trauma had almost caused her to pass out. Nevertheless, I was still determined to ask her, and thankfully she said yes. I'm going to try the joke here, not my specialty, but I thought it was quite good. Where did the couple go after getting engaged? Anyone want to guess? KFC, because it's finger looking good. I spent a long time thinking about it. We actually did go to KFC, we had something from the Streetwise menu. Great saying yes, maybe the happiest man. She is the love of my life and my best friend, who I can't imagine being apart from. She has so many good qualities and makes my life more interesting and exciting every day. We are very fortunate to have very supportive friends and families and looking forward to many adventures together in the future. I'd like to thank you all for being a part of our lives in one way or another, and if I have the time, I'd want to mention you all, but I haven't, and we do need to finish the table tennis tournament. Please raise your glasses to the beautiful and elegant Rachel Elizabeth, now poured out.
Hey!
Thank you.
Well done, Sam. There's a lot of people come from far and wide, as we've heard, and I'd like to say, Rachel, you're absolutely gorgeous. You really do. And Sam, you're pretty good yourself. I'd also like to congratulate Nikki and Mark, and Aidan and Anne. To be honest, just for raising two very fine people, and I'd also like to toast the bridesmaids. Bridesmaids, which is a bit of a shame.
Sorry.
No, so as you all know now, Sam was my best man at my wedding, and some of his speech could have been classed as quite embarrassing for me, with stories he's already kind of brought up. But I promise I will not do that to you, Sam. I promise I will not mention how on a few heavy nights in Solihull you have to run home to your mum and dad's. It's about a mile and a half, 4 o'clock in the morning. Double vodka and Red Bulls. They're supposed to give you wings, but it's certainly give you running shoes on those nights.
It's nice scenery.
And I can only imagine you running, singing Three Lions at the top of your lungs as you run home.
Absolutely.
I've known Sam for about 12 years. We worked, kind of, at Woolworths.
We did work at Woolworths.
We were there.
Oh,
we got paid to be there. And to be honest, we got on straight away. Our love of wrestling. Not each other. Watching the wrestling. Although that has happened before. To be honest, our kind of bond was sealed properly, wasn't it, really, when we ran slow motion across Stratford Road. You can just imagine peak-time traffic everywhere, cars everywhere. And there's me and Sam, literally, we were like, and we were like, and it was sealed. We were probably going to Greg's, quite possibly, or maybe Shirley Kebab House, because that was where we kind of tended to go. One of the main reasons, long 12 years, he's been here, there and everywhere, as you all know. And one of the big things that kept us together through all that time was our competitive streak. What would you say?
Absolutely.
Yes, well, we do have some differences. We're not completely the same. He prefers tennis, I like cricket. You like American basketball, I prefer American football. Sam, as you know, likes cycling. I prefer to watch paint dry. People do it for fun. I really don't. That brings me probably on quite nicely to the game that we all created, and some of you may have heard of, patio tennis. Possibly the finest game that has ever been created. The hours of sunburn that we got in Mark and Nikki's garden just by playing it goes into the record books. Yeah. I think I'm still kind of, getting over it about 10 years before. He didn't just stop there in terms of the physical sense. Massive into our computer games as well. Can be found quite regularly, beating each other up at fight night, serving each other into the ground at smash court tennis as well, and being beaten by my good lady wife at SmackDown wrestling games. It's already been mentioned, but obviously talking of competition, These two are perfect for each other. You know, the amount of times I've kind of just had to leave the room because of being dominated at Scrabble, C-Nip and Bananagrams. So there was never a more perfectly suited couple. For a long time, as you now know, we called ourselves the Triangle. But we now welcome Rachel into the square. There's more. It's Matt's theme, this last little bit. Obviously, if you were to add the children and the potential arrivals, we could be at a dodecagon before we know it. I would like to just end the speech with a very, very small quote from my best friend Sam. There are two things a man can never hide: the fact that he's drunk and the fact that he's in love. And Sam, you definitely are. I'd just like to raise a glass for Mr. and Mrs. Cordan and have a lovely night and enjoy the table tennis. Pizzas are ready as well.
I'm just going. Want questions afterwards?
No, it's just
Yeah.
your grandmother would like us to say one thing.
Absolutely.
One thing.
Rachel, I've been holding this piece of paper for 25 years.
It's a bill.
Waiting for this perfect person to come to welcome into our home and into our hearts. And I must say that this was received by me from a little boy. And it says to Nana and Grandpa. And it goes, the love person. One day a love boy went to play. And the first girl he saw, he would kiss that girl. His name was called Love. This boy would kiss any girl. And this girl he had found was too lovable to have. And when they were grown up, they got married. So this is yours.
Well, good evening everybody, and I'm Michael from Wanganui. This is my wife Felicity from Wanganui. We're really delighted to be here. In 2010, a young couple approached me at the Wanganui Tennis Club. She was obviously English, and I found it very hard to pick his accent. I thought he might have been quite a refined Kiwi. There are one or two left. He asked me, he said, "You've got something to do with the jazz club, haven't you?" And I said, yes, I'm president of the jazz club. He said, "Do you know anyone who teaches clarinet?" I said, "Yes, I do." "Who's that?" "Well, I do actually." And from then on, we've had a very good friendship, not only in music, but also in tennis. I taught him the clarinet and Rachel for a little bit there, and he was able to, I wouldn't say master the clarinet, but very well with the clarinet within 1 year from scratch. And he joined in our Wanganui River City big band. He played clarinet in that, and he was able to improvise some tunes in that as well, which is quite a rarity for anyone, even just with 1 year's experience. So in the Wanganui, the River City big band, he is well remembered. Unfortunately, at the Wanganui Tennis Club, he's not so well remembered for his tennis prowess. Before he left, we had a challenge match. Unfortunately, he came second there. And yesterday we had a rematch. Unfortunately, he came second there. So the challenge is for him to come to New Zealand for the third match, and we will play it out again. So we're really delighted to be here. We haven't been through England before. We've been to the other parts around. We're amazed at the weather.
It's always like this, always.
And And we intend travelling around a bit up in Scotland before we head down to Devon to another wedding which we're taking the opportunity of going to while we're over here. So it's been a delight to come here and to meet a lot of you at the moment. I hope to meet all of you, and just remains to wish, and I hope we do come back to New Zealand at some stage. No pressure. Love to see you again.
Thank you very much. Anything else? Oh, you got there.
Apparently I have to make a speech. Totally unprepared.
You don't.
Again, thanks everybody for coming, people from far and wide. We're very grateful, and it's wonderful to see you all. And I know Sam and Rachel appreciate it. Nikki and I want to formally welcome Anne and Aidan into our family and their children as well. We have met on one occasion, and it was the night that Sam and Rachel went off to New Zealand, and we've not seen each other since then. Nikki's been in communication off and on, but we really hope that we'll see a lot more of each other and establish a really good relationship. But we're very, very pleased to have you all as part of our family. Very pleased to see that Sam got round to asking Rachel to marry. I know people have alluded to his kind of relaxed nature, and I just want to give two anecdotes which kind of illustrate Sam's persona. When Sam was a young boy, he played the piano. He was very good at scales, and he was very good at pieces because his memory was extremely good. Sight reading wasn't his forte, and I knew that, and he knew that too. He went to his grade 2 examination. We were living in Gainsborough in Yorkshire at the time, and it was set in a little semi-detached house, and I could hear Sam playing in the room next door. And I heard his pieces going, and I knew what he was playing on the Mozart, so they sounded good. I heard his scales bang on, he's good at scales. And then the sight reading. And unless he was playing some really avant-garde Stravinsky or something atonal, it was wrong. But he got to the end of it, and on the way home, I said to Sam, so how did it go? He said, oh, it was really good. And I said, how did your pieces go? Really good, Dad. How did your scales go? Really good, Dad. How did your sight reading go? Really good. He failed on the sight reading, but he passed. You got to know. That was Sam. Never panic, so always relax. And the other anecdote that comes to mind, some years ago Nikki went through a phase of having these candles which you had a little oil in a dish and a can beneath, and it would aromatise and give you a nice sort of fragrance. And we had one of these in the front room. Nikki and I were in the kitchen, and we left it sort of there in the room, and Sam wandered in a few minutes later saying, Mum, Dad, is it supposed to do that? And we went in, and the flames were leaping. The ceiling was scorched, the whole thing had caught fire, so we got wet cloths on it, and that was that. But that was Sam's response to a fire. Is it supposed to do that?
He told us.
So we are so pleased and relieved that he's asked Rachel to marry, and we are so delighted to have her as our daughter-in-law, and we wish them all the very best.
We do.
Yeah.
I'll go and see if the pizzas are ready. I'll come back up and...
I think they said the oven would be ready at past 10:30.
They're rolling.
We're on.
Just go and
Eat.
go and eat, but they'll sort of keep coming and just
Keep eating.
take your time.
We're going to go and queue up.
No, internet.